This is the most irritating muffler I've been behind in a while. Like, fucking seriously. You got no rims, no body kit, no nothing. Just an irritating fucking exhaust. Anyway, it's Monday. We have a holiday today. Monday, I believe it's the 20th, January 2016. I'm not actually sure what day it is. I should have checked. I think it's the 20th, I'm not sure. But Monday, today's a holiday. Ran some errands, had some lunch, and now it's a beautiful day out today, and I am gonna go and get some of my ice cream, some of my favorite ice cream. Now, I had some comments about how when I come to these stops, all they hear is me breathing like I'm out of breath. It's because the microphone is right up to my mouth, so I've moved it, and we're going to see if I get a better sound, or at least a just as good sound without all that irritating heavy breathing. So we'll see how this goes. Might keep it this way. It's mic setup's a little different. We'll see what happens. Or we'll see if the sound kind of decreases because it's closer to the bottom of the helmet. But we'll see what happens. Bike is working really good today for some strange reason. Really good. Last night I had soaked the whole carburetor, excuse me, not carburetor, the throttle body in silicone because it was kind of seizing up, and now it just works perfectly. It's working great right now. Bike's working really good. Gonna cruise through Mililani here on our way to Dole. Now, yesterday I had lunch with my friend, good friend, known him for, God, 20 years, 25 years, known him forever. And, through college, him and I had CBR F2s. Loved those bikes, great bikes. The problem is that, you're young, you're in college. The second I had any kind of money, I bought a CBR 929. Loved that bike, kept it for almost 10 years. Loved it to death, but it was nothing but problems. Nothing but problems. Now, went from a CBR 929 to this SV650. And I have to say, the horsepower was just a horrendous drop. I mean, really, it was bad. Just horrible. But SV650 being a twin, the torque was all there, and I really prefer torque over just raw horsepower. So I really took to this bike really well. Doesn't have any high end, but because it's a twin, had plenty of torque. That being said, I keep thinking about having another bike, but to be honest, I just don't feel like, dropping, over $10,000, and I want a new bike. Now, maybe a few videos back, I was thinking, okay, I'll get an R3, because I'm thinking I just want a sport bike again. Coming from that sport bike background, I miss having a sport bike, and especially that good friend of mine, now he's got a Ducati Benengali. It's a 1200, and it's what we've always dreamed about. And now he's achieved it. And you know what? He's worked hard for it. But yeah, he's achieved it now. He's living the dream. And now I got a 650. I've gone down And him and I were talking. He's like, oh man, what bike should I get next? I'm like, just stick with the Ducati, man. That's a great bike. You know, you live in the dream. You're riding a 1200 now. I mean, you know, we always talked about this. You're not going to go any higher, realistically. The only way to go now, more or less, is down. Yeah, we had talked about it, him and I, and we're cruising about it. And let me get away around this. Him and I were talking about it, and he said, well, what am I getting next? And I'm like, well, I like this bike, but at the same time, woo, bumps. But at the same time, you know, I miss having a sport bike. I really do. I miss everything about having a sport bike. But back in the day, brand new R6s and R1s, the 600s were 8,000 and the R1s were like 1,000 back in the day. And now it's more like, with markup, now it's like 14 for a 600 and more like 18 for a 1,000 now. And it's like, well, forget it. I'm sorry, I'm not willing to spend that kind of money. And the problem with Hawaii is that we have a monopoly on motorcycles. We really do. And that more or less jacks the price. Now, the guy who owns essentially most of the motorcycle dealerships here in Hawaii, his markup starts at $2,000. And the reason why he does that is because if you go to the mainland and buy a bike on the mainland, it costs about $2,000 to ship it here. So what he does is he knows that's the markup, because, you know, if he goes over that, people are just going to buy from the mainland and bring it down. So he knows that's the line where he can screw people right there. And you know what? We have a monopoly, so that's all there is to it. Now, the only other real alternative, my goodness, lady, the only other real alternative is Domenico's, but you know what? I don't want a Yamaha. I don't want a 300, and I don't want an R6. I'm sorry, they're great bikes. My brother had an R6 and an R1, and they were great bikes, but that's not my bike of choice. I've always liked the Hondas. You know, I started in an old, I think it was an 88 Kawasaki 500 is what I started at. And then I moved to I think it was a 92 CBR F2, and that's where I enjoyed everything. That was what I liked. Right there's that F2, and that's why after that I bought the CBR 929, because I felt the most comfortable. And you know, I tried other bikes. You know, I've tried all the big three Japanese. Ducati is nice, but you know what? I like Ducati. Unfortunately, I just am not willing to spend the money. Not willing to spend the money at all at it. And even with my cars, I have to say my attitude with vehicles is that they're more or less disposable. I'm not the kind of guy that pours all this money on a car or a bike, because, especially a bike, some hater can just walk up and throw it over just because he's a dick and he doesn't have one. You know, that's happened to me before, especially with the 929. I don't know what it was, but a lot of guys would come up to it, and either that was the bike that most people tried to steal, and that was the bike that I'd go out, you know, and I'd come back and there'd be like some guy like sitting on it, or there'd be some guy. I went to a club way back in the day, you know, because I don't do that anymore, but I went to a club, and you know, I'm doing my thing. I had a girlfriend at the time that, you know, had, I don't know, that, you know, had friends there. I had friends there. We'd hang out. I'd come out, and here's two guys with their beards on my bike. like trying to pick up chicks, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man? Just what gives? Really, what gives? It's just having a motorcycle at there's multiple times people tried to steal it. So it's just, to me, especially with a motorcycle, it is, it's temporary. It's disposable for a sense, because you never know when a guy is just someone's just come and steal it. Especially nowadays, it just seems that, thefts are just more common. Now, fast forward to today. This 650, I don't know what it is. No fairings, no one wants to steal it. Never had a problem. I don't know, it's because it's all stock. Maybe that's it. It's all stock, so no one cares. It seems that the second you put exhaust on something, it's going to get stolen. It seems that is the thing. The second you put exhaust on it, that's it. It's going to get stolen. You're done. You're going to lose your thing. That's it. Well, enough ranting and raving. Again, really want a sport bike again, but this SV650, excuse me, has done me no wrong. It really hasn't. Today it's running great. It's feeling great. Now the only problem is I let it sit too long, and Hawaii, we have ethanol gasoline, and let's face it, ethanol just destroys everything. It sat too long and it ate up the fuel system. I had to have the fuel system rebuilt. Cost me $2,000 to rebuild the fuel system. Wasn't too happy about it, but nothing you could do. That's just the way it is. But redid the fuel system, and ever since then it's been working like a champ. Now, I did, in the very beginning, I think they bored it out because they had to clean out the throttle bodies. I think they bored it out a little too much because it was too rich. The whole system was just too rich. However, as time has gone on, it's kind of evened out, and now it's running really well. And I like a twin. I really do. I like the low torque of a twin. And the only way I'm going to get low torque is either getting, another inline, race bike, which is going to cost mad money, or some like this. Now, they have reintroduced the SV650 for 2016, and I want to see how that pans out, because it's essentially the same bike, but it's more modern. The gauge is all digital. That seems to be the new thing. All digital gauges. The engine has, I think, like 5 more horsepower to it. Essentially the same engine, but it's just they've put all new components in there, modernize it up. Just little things here and there that added up to something a bit nicer. And you know what? It sounds great. But I love this bike. It's done me no wrong, and it's, the only time it's broken, it's my fault. So I have a hard time, and this is a good bike. There is one complaint I have with this bike, and it has no top end at all. It's all torque. It's all torque, all low end. It really, it can't, it's got no top end. But it's a good bike. It's a really good bike. This is, I don't know. I don't want to give it up in a way, but I want another sport bike. I don't know. This, I think, one of those things where I'm going to wait till this thing explodes before I give it up. Uh-oh, Dole seems kind of... Dole seems kind of full. Eesh. Alright, we'll see. But yeah, I want some Dole Whip. It's my favorite ice cream in the whole wide world. Looks like... Yeah, looks like I might be parking in the boonies or some shit. It's too bad there's no motorcycle parking at all.